to turn the microphone over to some of our staff members and a parent. And they're going to be sharing stories of an equity success. And then others will be sharing a story of some type of injustice that they have seen or experienced, maybe personally or at Mundelein High School. So this is the lineup of our speakers for today. I just want to quickly note, Andy Hirschman, social studies teacher, Maggie Sharp and Julie Block are math teachers, Krista Lloyd is with our security team, Stacey Hatchett is Stefan Hatchett's mom, and that's probably how you know her, but she's also a seasoned math teacher at Waukegan High School. Sam Belbaron is our reading coach, a literacy specialist, and academic lit teacher. And then Paul Sethna is our teacher in our business education department. So at this point, they are going to give a little bit of their story, and so I'll turn it over to Andy first.
Not built for that. Sorry about that. I did make a few notes because I like to talk and I have a time limit, so try to stay disciplined. So in terms of equity, I've been thinking a lot about resilience. The reason I like this idea of resilience is that for a person to be resilient, they both need internal toughness and persistence, but also ecological supports from the environment. After 50 years of research, it's been shown resilience does not exist within an individual, rather it exists interdependently. When faced with difficulty, obstacle, or threat, if resilience is lacking, an individual will tend to respond in one of two ways, either by lashing out or by shutting down. I first taught on the west side of Chicago at Austin High School. Some of you know this, perhaps not everyone. I lived nearby and had many personal ties to the neighborhood. The community had concentrated poverty and the school had consistently struggled. Most families who could get their students out to magnet schools, or really any other school, did, leaving behind a student population that was over 40% special needs and diverse learners. Usually that would mean extra supports, but of course at Austin, there were even fewer supports than average. The school had been reconstituted twice in the last 5 years, which meant, if you don't know ed speak, the entire faculty had been fired twice in the last 2 years. Because of course the problem was with the teachers. As an example of how under-resourced the school was, I had a cap on the amount of photocopies I could make for my students. 6 copies per student per year. And no, I'm not making that up, how could I? And no, we were not a one-to-one school. I was preparing my room between classes one day and was straightening the desk. 2 or 3 desks back was a student. The single largest freshman boy I had or ever would see in my entire life. Huge, massive, strong. This was also a BDLD boy who this morning happened to think I was jostling the desk to somehow mess with him. He calmly walked up and boom! Both hands right on my shoulders. I flew over the desk and landed face first, sprawled on the floor. I looked up and saw my co-teacher, Mrs. Moses, I can still picture it, wagging her finger. No, 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 he's got to go. She took him downstairs. 2 weeks later, I found myself in a meeting with the boy, his mother, her 8-year-old daughter, a social worker and a school official. The mom expressed she no longer knew what to do. She was scared, frightened for her daughter and herself. She then proceeded to release her son to the... That wasn't part of my preparation, okay. Man, I used to tell the story and that would always happen, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen today, but I always choke up because she released her son to the stage in front of my eyes. Sorry, and I didn't say a word because I didn't know what to say. Sometimes students don't lash out though, sometimes they shut down. So I'd like to read something I wrote a few years ago about a boy that I taught here at Mundelein that had shut down. Brandon was catatonic in class once again. I had never seen a student this disengaged in my entire career. He would never make a disruption or act out, but he would also never lift even one finger to complete any work. I knew this wasn't the first time that he had attempted consumer economics at our school. The year before, he had taken a class and failed with another teacher who had since left the district. But I just knew this time would be different. I knew with my mixture of positive, aggressive, manic teacher energy, I would somehow coax him out of his shell. Little did I know. I had tried the joking, buddy-buddy approach. I had tried the I'm with you against the man approach. I had tried the analytical cost-benefit approach. I do teach economics. I tried to get to know you, listen to your problems approach, and I realized that shouldn't be approach, but I got shot down so fast I didn't really stay with it as long as I should have. I tried the I totally get your apathy, but you know what? You never really understood what economics is all about approach. I'm sure we all try that with our own disciplines. I tried the tough talking, lay down the law approach. I tried the I'm just here to help you, tell me how I can help you, what do you want? I tried that approach. I was quickly running out of approaches. I was starting to take this personally, in fact. I knew I couldn't, but I couldn't help it. What was going on with Brandon? The day before, in a small group discussion with classmates, Brandon had shared his future career plans. Get arrested and then in prison so he could take 3 squares a day and have a place to sleep. I've been around long enough to realize he was probably just showing some bravado, getting a rise out of his classmates. But I also felt the more often Brandon told that story, he began to internalize aspects of it. I began to wonder just what was Brandon's story. Stacy asked us to tell stories, some happy, some not so happy. I often think back to both of these boys and wonder why. What was going on? Why were they so different? Was it just something about them? Would things have been different if they had had the same supports other children had had? I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no easy answers for us today. But in closing, I do believe that part of what makes an equitable learning environment is realizing 2 individuals could have the exact same level of persistence, but one can have far more resilience because of ecological support. We must strive to calibrate the level of challenge and support for our students each need according to both who they are and the supports that they currently have. This, of course, is very difficult, but I do believe it is possible.
All right, so our story today is really about the question of how to provide equitable opportunities for an entire group of students to learn how to believe in themselves again. So the challenge that Julie and I were presented with last year was that the 2 of us got a group of 29 students who had all failed the first half. I feel like I'm not really talking to the mic, I'm sorry. Who had all failed the first half of 4-term Algebra 1. Our challenge was then to talk to those students about the fact that they were not only going to be given the opportunity to redo the first half of the material, but they were also going to have to master the second half of the material, which they originally had 1 year to do. Now we were telling them to do it in a semester. And then on top of that, we wanted to convince them that they were not only capable of meeting this challenge, but of succeeding beyond their wildest dreams.
So a little bit about the class. Like Maggie said, we had 29 students who failed semester 1. 25 of those students were Latino. We had 1 African American student and we had 3 white students. At the end of the semester, we had 27 students who recovered credit for the first semester and 19 students who earned credit for the second semester as well. We're really excited to and honored and proud for sharing their success stories today.
So what changed for that group of students is the question. And on day 1 of this class, Julie and I realized that we had a huge responsibility to these kids to be able to ask them to start believing in themselves again. We decided that the best way to do that was to deal with the elephant in the room and right off the bat, talk about what brought us all together.
So on the first day, we actually had all the students write us a letter. We asked them to address why they failed in the first place, what happened, And we expected honest feedback for them, and we explained how we want to create a learning environment that would be productive for them and that best fit the needs for them. And yeah, we asked for their honesty, and we wanted them to take responsibility for what happened.
So here, we're just going to share some things that we read in those letters. I was not motivated after I was told I was not going to pass.
I wasn't here to learn.
Peer pressure and ditching with so-called friends.
Low self-esteem and laziness.
I don't want to be disappointed in myself, nor disappoint others like my parents. I don't want to be in class and have no idea what's going on because I don't get it.
I wasn't surrounded by people I was comfortable with to ask for help.
I just had it in my mind that I sucked at math and I didn't try hard enough.
So when the students finished writing, we had them fold up the letters and turn them in. We explained from this day forward their mistakes were in the past and every student was starting fresh. We told them that we were lucky to have the chance to work with them, and we wouldn't have agreed to teach this class if we didn't think everyone in that room had the ability to succeed.
It obviously took more than one letter and one speech from us to get them to start getting rid of their own self-doubt. Even though we obviously had a really limited amount of time to get through the curriculum in that class, we decided to invest in those students personally and ask them to invest in themselves and the learning environment. We spent the entire first week on team building activities and mindset exercises to help everybody in the room start to redefine what their success could look like and to also start letting go of their perceived inadequacies.
We even created a class council of elected students to communicate that each one of them had a valuable voice when it comes to their own learning. We told them that we needed their feedback and that we'd be working together to create the classroom we all wanted, and we continued to revisit messages of perseverance and struggle.
So obviously this wasn't easy. There were a lot of very difficult days. We had a lot of days that students themselves expressed that they were ready to give up. But I think through the continuous support that we provided, and especially the individual conversations that we had with students, we were able to demand that they didn't settle for giving up. We were able to model that expectation by never letting ourselves get into a place where we would give up on one of them. And ultimately, I think that they learned to believe in themselves through our constant reminders that even on days when they weren't there to learn or they didn't think they could do it, we always would believe that they could.
So at the end of the semester, we asked them to reflect one last time on where they started in the term and where they ended. We asked them to reflect on their current views on math, their current views on success, and how that has changed over the semester. And here are some of their responses. I learned that I actually can do math, even though all those past years I said I hated it.
I know I can accomplish something if I keep trying and asking questions.
I'm more of a positive and I am more confident.
My attitude changed a lot because in term 3, I was very negative and always thought I couldn't do it, and I gave up. But during the time I've been in this class, I have learned I can do it if I work hard.
They didn't give up on me and didn't let me give up on myself.
Success is doing something you never thought you could do or had tried before.
I learned I am smart if I try.
I actually enjoy going to math, knowing that I can do it.
So for us, equity means giving every kid the opportunity to believe in themselves. This means building meaningful relationships with students that allow them to build confidence in their own potential to succeed.
Thank you.
I've got notes too, because I'm not really well prepared. I know it may be hard for many of you to believe, but outside of here, I actually have a life. I don't wander alone from Mundelein High School constantly. This is my 6-year-old son, Dominic. Dominic is autistic, severely developmentally delayed, and nonverbal. Since Dominic is nonverbal, anyone that works with him has trouble communicating with him. This year at school, however, we got a big surprise. Dominic was given the opportunity to have a voice. Dominic has been working with an iPad that has a communication program downloaded onto it. Through this device, he's able to communicate his wants, his needs, his thoughts, his opinions, and even tell me jokes. I'll share some with you, but they're previously downloaded and they're really corny. This iPad is all he has. This iPad is his voice. This is the only way that Dominic is able to communicate with me. Without this device, he cannot function as other students in his class can. I have to tell you all that I was very excited when I got the phone call for a meeting to find out if the district was buying this device for my son. When we got into the meeting with the CEDAL Assistive Technology team, I was shocked. My excitement went away very fast. It was at this meeting that I learned that my son was being forced to earn the ability to use his communication device. Other students in my son's classroom are verbal, and they were earning the opportunity to play educational games on iPads that were set up for that. Not my son. He was only able to communicate with staff members if they felt that he had earned it during that day. When the assistive technology team supervisor heard that other staff members were talking about not wanting my son to have the device because they didn't think he earned it enough, she went through the roof. She was about as furious as I was. She asked one staff member to put herself in my son's shoes. She said, "How would you like it if I put duct tape over your mouth and made you keep it there all day until I felt you would earn the right to take it off?" I don't share this story with you for sympathy. I share the story with you, as all of our students here at Mundelein High School deserve to have equal access to the educational resources that they need to be successful in the classroom. It is imperative to figure out exactly what resources your students need to be successful, and it is crucial that we make sure that all the students have access to the resources that they need. Dominic's school failed him in regards to equity. Let's not fail the students of Mundelein High School in the same way.
Push this thing on and hold. Hi, this don't work. Oh. Okay, I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous. And the reason I am nervous is because, one, I'm in front of all my peers. I mean, although we don't work together, we're teachers, so we're peers. And two, some of you have taught my son. Or somebody turned my son down, which I heard really ready to go. And so that's why I'm nervous for my son. Oh gosh. All right, so you know my name is Stacy Hatchett, and I wrote this down in my notes. And I am the proud parent of Stefan Hatchett, also known as Mr. Mustang. But I do want to share a story with you guys, and I'll start off with, and many of you know this already, on April 4th, 1916, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. And 5 months later, in Norwalk, Connecticut, I began school. And I was 4 years old at the time because I didn't turn 5 until late September, and we got to go to school at 4. So there was a local school. I'm a product of Head Start, so I went to Head Start. School was Nathaniel Bailey Elementary School. No, Head Start, pre-K, whatever they call it now. But anyway, that's what it was. And it was near me. And then when it came time for me to go to kindergarten, there was a school right there, Columbus Elementary School. But I couldn't go right there to school. I was one of the first people in my neighborhood to get bused to school. So I was bused to Honey Hill Elementary School. Guess where it was? Ironically, on Suburban Drive. So now, I left what was affectionately known to me as Meadow Garden Co-op Apartments. It's called Projects now. But when I was there, that's what it was known as. So I got bused. It was about a 5-mile trip, but 35 minutes, one way to school. I was 4 years old. So imagine placing your 4-year-old on a bus to ride 35 minutes to school. By the way, just so everybody knows, the activities bus, when it takes the kids home, it takes like 30 minutes for them to go around Mundelein. Now, I literally live across the street, across Hawley. It took 30 minutes for them to bring stuff home one day from Sandburg. I was calling the bus company, I was like, where's my kid? Okay, anyway, so I found out that they have to take all the kids home on that one bus. So 35 minutes, so my mother watches as the bus goes away, all right? And then waits, you know, when we come back to school, ends at 3:20, I get home 4 o'clock, something like that, because of the busing. So, while I was in school, well, fast forward a little bit. So I got bused to Honey Hill Elementary, I got bused to West Rocks Middle School, I got bused to Norwalk High School. So all this, my whole career of school, it was busing. Now when I was in first grade, I was what they called back then a smart kid. We don't call kids smart anymore now, we got growth mindset and everything, but I was a smart kid. So they told my mom, it's like, she could skip 2nd grade and she could go to 3rd grade. And my mom was like, no, she can't, she's 7 years old. Those kids in 3rd grade are 9. She is not going to the 3rd grade. So I, stayed on my path. But as a smart kid, what I began to notice was on the bus, everybody looked like me. In my class, nobody looked like me. I was the only black kid in the class. All my classes, whole time in high school, whole time. So, because I was the smart kid. So, what I ended up learning, and I didn't know there was like a term for this, now they have a term for it, but there was a difference between me on the bus in school and then the student that was in school. So, they call that, you have a home self and you have a school self. So the home self, that was me. Here I am. I go, where's my home self? On this paper somewhere. All right, so my home self. I'm a black kid from the projects. I got bused to school. I watched soap operas when I got home. I worked part-time, and I babysat my little brother. Guess what? That was birth control. I had Stefan when I was 34. So I think my mother knew something. Anyway, my school self, I'm in honors classes. I got to go to Spain when I was a sophomore with my Spanish class. And I navigated that entire college application process in the early 80s. No internet, business reply cards, fill those out, wait for the packet to come back. I did that alone because, mind you, I grew up in the projects. My mother is one of 6, my father is an only child. My dad is a retired longshoreman, my mother is a retired secretary of the special education department. No one in my family went to college. Not my mother's brothers or sisters, not my grandparents, not my cousins. I'm the only one. I'm the only one of my generation, my grandparents had 16 grandkids, that graduated from college. So now when I was in high school, how does the home self and the school self manifest itself? Well, and you guys might see this in some of your students here. When I'm at school, yeah, I want to be that honor student. But when I'm on that bus and going home, I don't want to lose my street cred. It's like, I gotta live with people here. They can't think that I'm the smart kid and you know what I mean? And so, how did that manifest itself in the classroom? For me, my interest in honors started to wane, okay? If you see that in your students here, they might be dealing with a little bit of that. You can help them with that. I had a guidance counselor who let me know that, hey, you need to continue to take these honors classes because it's going to be helpful for you. So that's how it might manifest itself here with your students, is that you may see them beginning to not like honors anymore. So you can influence a student's school self. And for me, because imagine this, remember I said I was the first or only black kid my neighborhood for a college graduate. Got an academic scholarship. How did I get that academic scholarship? Because I had a counselor, Mr. Majeski, I had a Spanish teacher, Ms. Warren, I had 2 math teachers, Mr. Loris and Mr. Panish, that helped to influence my school self, while at the same time recognizing my home self and not letting me forget that. So with all of that being said, I just would ask you to, if you see that student that you know has that capability of doing what it is that they need to do to be successful, whether it be in class, but it seems like they're falling off a little bit, they might be dealing a little bit with that in terms of who am I at school and who am I at home? Am I still gonna have my friends at home, or am I still gonna have my friends here at school? And the last person I forgot to mention was my 7th grade science teacher, Miss Sawyer, because I think I'm a lot like her. She was the only Black teacher that I ever had while I was in school. Thank you guys for your time.
If you guys don't know me, I teach freshman academic literacy, which is a reading intervention class. And in our classes, we teach the kids between the 25th and the 35th percentile. So they're the little kids. But our kids are your kids too. They're those kids in your classes, those kids in your classes, you know what I'm talking about, like those kids who struggle. And those kids who don't turn in their work, or those kids you have to ask 9,000 times to take out their homework, and when they do, like everything falls out of their backpack, right? They're the kids that have one headphone in their ear the whole class period, and the ones that ask to go to the bathroom and don't come back for 10 minutes. You know those kids, right? But those AL kids could also be those kids that get straight A's, and they could be those kids who stay after class to get extra help from you. Or they could be those kids who, when they're absent, email you because they don't want to miss anything. Those kids are capable of so much, but they have very different struggles and very different things that they need in order to be successful. And our jobs as interventionists are to find what those individual kids need. So a few years ago, I had a girl who was one of those kids, not the good ones. She was difficult, to say the least, and because that's my luck, she was in class with her 3 best friends. So of course, they spend the entire time talking and giggling and bringing their drama to class. And this girl walked in day 1 with an attitude, saying, everyone's nodding their head because we all know these kids, right? I don't need this class. Why are we doing this? I don't want to do this. I learned this already. Yeah, but then you get their work, right, that they turn in, and it's like, I kind of think that you need this help, right? So between her grades and her class assignments and her assessments, it was clear that she did need this class. She did need the support, but she was holding herself back from getting anywhere, from growing, and I recognized that as I worked with her and as the term went on, and so I talked to her and told her, I think that you have so much more potential than what you're giving me. I see in your work that you do get some things, but that's like every other day. And your effort and your focus isn't there. You're more worried about the drama than you are the homework. And so it took a lot of time working with that student and talking to them and reminding them and keeping her on track. But as the semester came by, I have the opportunity to exit these students, and that's every interventionist's dream, right? You get to move on. You don't need the supports anymore. But unfortunately, at this time, I didn't think that her assessments and her performance was consistent enough to exit. And that was a little difficult of a conversation for me to have with her, because I know that she had worked so hard, that she started to care, that her grades did improve from C's and D's to B's and C's. But I also have the opportunity to recommend some students into Advent. And I thought this girl was a perfect candidate. She was motivated, she would advocate for herself, and I also knew that there would be people there, there would be supports there to stay on her, to remind her of what she's there for and that she's capable of doing this work and not let her fall back into the track that she was on. So as a freshman, she was difficult and she was rude and she got C's and D's and she didn't care about school. And now as a junior, although her test scores would still technically qualify her as one of those kids, she has turned her life around and she has surrounded herself with positive influences. She's part of Link Crew and she has a job after school and she's in honors classes where she's got A's and B's and she's gotten A's and B's since her first semester, her freshman year. Not a single grade under a B. She is set to take AP classes next year and has talked to me about college. Earlier this year, she shared an assignment with me that she wrote in Avid called This I Believe. She wrote, I learned that if a person really cares about someone, they will push hard to try to help them. My teacher believed in me and truly thought that I could do so much more. I am proud to say that I'm a different person than I was when I started high school. I have gained confidence that I never had before. So the picture that I have up is a sign that sits on Christy Mazuka's desk because a student felt that she cared about her and recognized that, and she was changed for it. And I think it's a message that we take for granted as educators. We find it a bit cliche, but it's a message that shouldn't be lost because all kids, those kids included, need help finding their potential, regardless of whatever labels they carry with them. The student ended her assignment saying, anyone can be a hero, and they can come in all shapes and forms. No superpowers nor capes are needed. I believe that anyone who inspires you to be a better you every day, or anyone who believes in you, can be a hero.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little about my personal experience, and hopefully a lot of you can maybe relate to it because I think this is a little more about socioeconomic. It's not necessarily about race or diversity or anything like that. So I think maybe there could be some things that you guys have experienced or seen or something like that. I grew up in upstate New York, my early childhood, and I grew up pretty poor. I mean, when we talk about poor, 2 pairs of pants, 4 shirts, and you kind of, mix and match those outfits. I remember my mom used to tell me at recess, don't play too hard because you can get holes in it. So I remember, early on, I kind of knew that whole socioeconomic piece, even when I was in 1st grade. And teachers, 1st grade, elementary school teachers are awesome, but my teachers were great, but I really think they felt bad for me, or they wanted to, for lack of a better word, they wanted to coddle me. They wanted, to help me because I think I was a good kid, and maybe they thought I looked good, whatever. But they coddled me, and that I didn't understand because back then, I understood, on the playground, I was different, While kids had Converse and maybe Nikes, I had, store brand shoes and stuff, and I was one to wear the same clothes. But I knew in the classroom, I could do multiplication facts just like anyone else. And when they tried to make things easier on me and stuff, I didn't quite understand that because I'm like, well, maybe I can't do it then. Maybe I'm not good enough or something like that. So I kind of felt that early on. And my dad eventually got a job. We moved to Rockford, Illinois. If anyone's been there, Rockford, Illinois. And I moved to this school, and school wasn't very diverse. It was, Rockford wasn't a very diverse place where we were in the part of it was a better school. And I still felt a lot of the same things. And I think it got reinforced because it was still as you get older, that whole social, emotional aspect gets a little more important. You feel yourself a little more different. When kids have these things and you don't, or when you dress different, things like that. At that same token, the teachers know that. We're all teachers here. We feel for our kids, right? We know that. But I think for me, and I think what people understand was, when people try to like make it easier on me or make me feel better or whatever, for whatever reason they were doing it, it actually made me think that I couldn't do things. And, you know, so like my parents always, my sister and I, you know, my sister's really successful. I like to brag about her, she's like a CFO. But they always told us, you know, like, you're always going to be dressed better, you're always going to be more prepared, you're always going to work harder for people to take you seriously. Now, I'm getting a little choked up, which I normally don't do, but, you know, so that was like, you know, what I learned. I should probably practice, because I just kind of kept here, because I was getting a little choked up here, and Andy got me all choked up. But, all right, so anyway, so I kind of expected all that, you know, and my parents understood. They wanted us, because they thought education was the pathway out. You know, I was lucky. I had that support. I had my parents that believed in education as a way to make their lives better and things like that. So they saved and saved. My dad got a better job, and we moved to Friend. You know, and you guys all know, Friend, you weren't poor. You know, you went to Friend High School. That's, you know, a rich suburb. But we were the ones that barely got into Friend. We were the ones that were in the lower middle class part of Friend, the part where I didn't have my own car or anything like that or anything part of it. And the best part was that in those classes, the teachers had high expectations for all kids. You know, but for me, I'd gone through probably 8 grades of teachers, you know, trying to make me feel comfortable, saying, you know, it's okay, don't worry about it. And so I kind of hung back. I hung back in class a lot, and I wasn't sure if I could handle it. And then it comes when the teachers would say to my parents, well, you know, he's in honors class. Maybe he shouldn't be in honors classes because he doesn't seem to, like, engage or things like that. And for me, you know, because my parents and everything, it kind of did the opposite. You know, like, I kind of have a chip on my shoulder in pretty much everything I do. If you talk to Russ or my wife, you know, Russ, you know, has coached me forever, they'll tell you, like, when I coach, like, I take every little thing, I take it to heart, and I, like, try to, like, remember it, to try to, like, okay, I'm going to be able to do this. We're going to do this because they don't think we can. And that's how I think. But at the same token, I think that way because I had that support from my parents who pushed me in that way. So when I look at us in here, you know, maybe all these kids don't have that support. And a lot of times, kids disengage, you know. And in our classrooms, when I think about it, it's so easy when, for kids, you know, when you're not, whatever race, whatever anything you like that, because socioeconomic means or anything like that, a lot of times when you're in a class and you've had that experience where people haven't had high expectations of you, you don't believe yourself. And then you start to disengage from that. And then what happens, it's not where you put a chip on your shoulder, it's the opposite. You don't think you can do something. And for me, I've seen it in class. I think the school is great. We moved here so our kids would go here. We're excited. But I really believe that every kid, regardless of race, regardless of anything, at one point, it's probably felt undervalued, underestimated. And I think we have that ability to change that. We can't control their home life, I get that. We can't control their socioeconomic means, I understand that too. But within our classroom, by having expectations, by having every kid believe that they can achieve and not making it easy for them, don't necessarily give them a crutch, but give them supports that they can do something and reinforce that, I think we can change people's lives. And that's what I believe in that, because I truly believe education changed my life. You know, like, it wasn't my parents and things like that, I wouldn't be here today. And I think we have that power. And I think we're kind of the last line of defense, so to speak, because if you think about it, after this, either they're going to go to college or they're going to start working, whatever they're going to do. So I feel like it's up to us and what we can do in our classrooms to help change those kids' minds or what they feel about themselves, what they believe. And as you've seen from some of these stories, I truly believe that. If we have expectations on kids, we give them every kid's support is appropriate to help them learn, we can make every kid successful. And I guess that's what I wanted to say.